Yep, it's hard to believe that summer is here, but it is just 3 weeks from now, the solstice. And the sky is definitely looking like June. Got that hazy look with high-based cumulus and no sign of rain. And it definitely shows it on the surface map. Let's take a look at that. This afternoon we have 60s dew points all the way to the Great Lakes. We even see a 64-degree reading up there at Sault Ste. Marie, and even 90-degree temperatures up in northern Wisconsin. However, there is a cold front coming out of the Dakotas and Minnesota. Not much cold air behind that. You can definitely see the change from a month ago when we were bringing down 30s and 40s. Another sign of summer is the absence of the dry line. Don't see anything out there. Just kind of a vaguely defined trough from Clovis up to Garden City. And some of that moisture is working its way back in eastern New Mexico. This is definitely a seasonal map. The weather is changing out west, and you can see the northerly flow there up in the San Joaquin Valley. And much cooler air around Vancouver, Victoria, and Seattle. The pressure and thickness pattern. All right, yeah, we got a warm front there through the Great Lakes, and we can see the cold front reflected there in the thickness field. And we can see evidence of something between, I would say, Southern California and the British Columbia coast. Now, where would we put that front? I don't know. There's probably support for a front right in there. Passing Vancouver, approaching Seattle. And with this cutoff flow, there could be a weak system in there. Now zooming in and going to our GFS data, I think we do find the front right there. Very distinct transition in the air mass. Let's try doing a cross-section. So we'll draw something like that across that frontal boundary. And there it is right there. That's our front. You can see the jet. You can see the jet there overlying the frontal surface. And I think in here we've got the marine layer also showing up. It also looks to me like there could be some complex structure to the front. I think there's probably an upper level front running about like that. You can see the isotherm in purple. You can see how it changes through here and has much higher slope. So those are some of the things that you would watch when you're tracking these systems. Now another tool you can use is the temperature height cross section. Let's give that a try. Yeah, let's try this spot right here off the Washington coast. Temperature height cross section. And there we can see the change in the air mass. We go from southwesterly flow, switching around to northwesterly flow. So here we've got the cold air advection pouring in. Then we see the wind direction change a little bit, but we still keep that northwesterly flow all the way out to 72 hours. Okay, let's take a look at the week ahead. And as many of you know, I like looking at dew points this time of year. With temperature, obviously, it's going to be warm. And where you do have a cold front, it's usually going to show a strong wind shift, especially if it's bringing in colder air. So that goes without saying. Moisture is a little bit more subtle. And wherever there are fronts, they tend to mark a dew point discontinuity. So I prefer kind of going with this to kind of get an idea of what the air masses are doing. So starting out tonight, yeah, probably a weak dry line out west. But you can see the transition is very gradual. And when we bring the cursor east to west from Oklahoma City to New Mexico, you can see that very gradual drop-off in moisture. And part of the reason is there's just not much convergence out in this part of Texas and Oklahoma, nothing to really amplify the contrasts. So anyway, yeah, the front is coming down south out of Minnesota and the Dakotas. Warm front out east. Weather patterns looking like this tomorrow night. I do see a very vague indication of a dry line, maybe some cyclogenesis out there in the panhandles. It's probably something we'll have to keep an eye on. Little upper level lift, it could pull the contrast together. So, I would keep my eye on the eastern panhandles. Still lots of moisture coming northward. And let's go up to Thursday. Very little change. Also, no well-defined dry line. I think I could probably make out a very dry line. Looks like roughly from North Platte down to Amarillo. But not much change. Now the model is popping out 80s dew points. See that right there? Let me put the cursor on that. See that 80, 81 degree dew points? And you're going to hear about this on social media. And I would urge you to use caution because look what happens when I click on that. Keep in mind this is 0Z. This is after a bunch of afternoon heating. And you can see it has not really mixed the lowest 30 millibars. And I don't know what's really happening there. I think there may be a deficiency in the land surface model perhaps, or maybe it's overestimating irrigation or groundwater, something. And you can see that the, see that surface-based CAPE, 7,500. I'm telling you, take that with a grain of salt because the actual mixed parcels are going to be 72, 73 degree dew points. So I think your mix layer is going to give you a better indication of what's happening. And when we go to 12Z, which is morning, watch the moisture go down. Yeah, see, 12Z, now suddenly the dew point's down to 70. And typically what we see is the moisture building up during the morning due to the weak winds, the inversion. For Friday night, well, now we got a little push of cold air coming south out of the Central Plains. So maybe an increased chance of storms, Oklahoma City, Kansas, out in that area. And we also see the circulation of Cristobal coming out of the Bay of Campeche there. So that's going to be your next big change. Going into Saturday, there's Cristobal heading north towards Louisiana. At least that's the way it looks at this time. And then it makes landfall sometime Sunday, according to the current indications there. And the central pressure not particularly low there, about 996 millibars. So this is not going to be a hurricane or anything like that. Very strong westerly flow there in Montana. The high plains, looks like a strong funnel system there. Cristobal, wherever it lands, it's going to bring in high precipitable water, probably a lot of rain, and we're going to see dew points kind of flare up wherever its path ends up. Then we see things become a lot more baroclinic there in Texas and Oklahoma, and you can see the dry line coming together there. This is a synoptic scale feature here, so I think this has a lot of confidence. So I think we're going to be seeing maybe classic severe weather around the 9th, 10th, 11th. We'll have something to look at next week, very likely. And you can see that kind of moves, get one wave moving eastward. Then we get this other pushback there, some cold air coming south into the panhandles. And then we're just looking at the stationary front here for late next week. Well, that's a pretty good push of cold air. Look at that. It's come all the way into New Mexico. And looking at the depth. Yeah, that cold air extends all the way up to about 7,000 or 8,000 feet there. I want to thank our new patron contributors, Three Cedars Homestead, Philip Haley, Norman Barnett, and Tom Horn. Thank you very much for your support. It means a lot. And Stephen Dorset, thank you for the increased pledge. It is also appreciated. And Storm Chase in Germany sent us a message. He says the season is starting there in Central Europe. Wednesday and Thursday, severe weather likely for Germany. And there's the map there from Storm Chase in Germany. This looks like a model forecast of thunderstorm activity for this week. So appreciate that. Okay, everybody, take care, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.